Relationships aren't easy. It takes commitment, communication, and sacrifice. Then, when you throw in other responsibilities like raising children and managing your career expectations, thinking about your partner can seem like an impossible task. It may be impossible, but it is rewarding if you can avoid the thorns and stop to smell the roses. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. All right, this is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing The Roses. The Roses, written by Tony McNamara, directed by Jay Roach, starring Benedict, Cumberbatch, Olivia Colman, Andy Samberg, Kate McKinnon, and Allison, Janney. And as usual, for a complete cast listing, you can go to the link in our show notes. It is just me today, just your boy Big Ralph. The Roses is based on the 1981 novel The War of the Roses, which was adapted into a 1989 movie, The War of the Roses, starring that guy that's Ant-Man's father from the new ones. Just Google it, you'll find it. But Danny DeVito's also in it. And the story is about this couple that essentially is going through a divorce. This was the original marriage story, if you will, but it's always been kind of a tragedy in a very, it's played as a comedy and a tragedy in a very specific way. So, quick story. Today I'm leaving the theater, and this is my second time seeing the movie. Well, second time seeing 75% of the movie, because I went last night and I saw about 75% of it, and then the movie started basically skipping. So we had to go complain to the theater. We got tickets again, so I had to come back and see it again. And the reason why that's important is because I was very enthusiastic about the first 75% of this movie, because Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch are great in this film. They are great. Their performance is really good. They're playing a couple that's been married for a while, and there's rising tensions in their relationship, but they have really good chemistry. Things really work out between the two of them. They really like each other. They have really good banter. They are admirers of each other, and they can check themselves. They're like emotionally responsible in a very specific way that allows them to kind of call each other out when they're feeling a certain way, and only when that stops happening does the movie begin to become something else or go into what we expect. If you've seen The War of the Roses, you kind of watch all of this with a certain amount of dread because you know what's coming. Basically, if you've seen The War of the Roses, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this movie, The Roses, it kind of feels like it's marching inevitably towards this rhythm. So Benedict Cumberbatch is an architect. Olivia Colman is a chef. They are both successful to some degree at their fields. Olivia Colman is a very good chef, but not getting a lot of recognition. Whereas at the time, Benedict Cumberbatch is getting a lot of recognition and is a very good architect, but mishaps happen, and essentially their fates switch. So at some point, Benedict Cumberbatch stops receiving attention. He has to stay home and take care of the kids because he's unable to work as much as he was before as an architect. And meanwhile, Olivia Colman's restaurants begin to take off, and she starts going to a different level, and she's no longer watching the kids. Resentment begins to grow between the two of them, and then that's kind of what sets off the end of the movie. Now, the movie is an hour and 45 minutes long. It is a comedy in that it is straight up funny. I laughed out loud several times in it. It's not shying away from trying to make you laugh. And Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman have so much charm. I think Olivia Colman is one of the most charming women on the face of the planet. Even when she starts to get actively mean, it's hard not to be like, that's Olivia Colman though. She's so charming. Even though she's like being mean to someone, it still feels like there's just like a certain level of charm that she brings with her every time she's on the screen. So their chemistry is good. They go back and forth. You could tell these are two actors that like working together, that respect each other, that like clearly are able to be very good scene partners, because a lot of it plays off of their specific relationship between the two of them. And then when you get to kind of the climax of the movie, we're supposed to believe that the growing resentments have risen to a place that these two folks can no longer stand each other. It worked in A Marriage Story because there's a bitterness that exists between Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver that just exists from the very beginning of the film. There's just bitterness that exists there. So you know something happened. There's a catalyst that like kicked off this hatred between the two of them. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is to say these two people in the rows have too much chemistry for what happened to happen. And eventually what I'm realizing is that the plot and the reasoning why these two folks are no longer together, it doesn't really work. As a matter of fact, when we get to the part where they're actually going back and forth and being very hurtful to each other, it still feels like two people who like each other very much that are in some sort of like, prank war more than it is actually active. We don't like each other. And it is a comedy, so in some ways that's what you're going to get. You're going to get that comedic effect. But the movie's only an hour and 45 minutes, and the time that they used a lot of it building these two up and connecting them to each other in a way that just made it entirely unbelievable when it begins to fall apart. There's not, as a matter of fact, the things that they are saying weren't things that were seething below the surface. They were just completely imperceptible, so that when they start shouting the things out, I'm like, well, everything that you're saying are words that could be shouted in most divorces or even in this particular divorce. But what makes it tricky is that I don't believe that that's what was happening between the two of you. What makes it even harder is that they're really good actors. I believe the things that they are saying. I believe that they believe the things that they are saying. But even by the time the movie gets to the very, very end, I mean, the last scene, I almost wanted to be like, that's exactly what I was trying to say. These two folks really love each other. There's no, like, this is just a bad fight. This is not a divorce. This is not like headed towards the end. And I want to be clear. Yes, there are things that exist beneath the surface in relationships. Yes, there are things that remain unstated. But I'm saying in a film, it's typically when that type of thing is seething underneath, the examples that begin to arise are all believable and palatable. And you can point to them and say, this thing happened, this is why they don't like each other. But I would argue that the chemistry between these two people was so good and so impenetrable that it hurt when it switched. So when it switched, I was like, no, I don't believe this. I would need a betrayal, or someone needs to turn out to be a complete jerk or something. This doesn't work. And it works in A Marriage Story because, again, you're looking at two people who are believing the things that they're saying. They're going up against each other, and they're obviously no longer compatible. This is not an issue of compatibility when it comes to Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman. It's not an issue of compatibility. With Scarlett Johansson and with Adam Driver, it felt like an issue of compatibility. Oh, y'all obviously are growing apart. Y'all want different things. You don't need to be together no more. That's not the sense I got from these two. I got the sense of these are two people that are able to adapt, that could change if they wanted to because they love each other and they want to be together. And I don't know where it goes wrong in terms of the script, because when you bring in these two powerhouse actors to act this out, they clocked in. I mean, they clocked in to the point where I'm like, I gotta be honest, it's upsetting that we're not gonna be talking about these performances come Oscars, because these are people that deserve nods. They like sold out in these roles and they were fantastic. Both of them did well. They did well together. They both deserve nods. And it came out at the right time, but obviously the movie itself is not good enough, which typically is not a knock against people that are getting Oscar nominations. So it's two folks in which the chemistry, like, of them and their performances actually hurt the characterization. And maybe not the characterization, but the script seemed to be going in a very specific direction. I would be curious to know if they rewrote the ending of this movie because the chemistry of these actors was so strong and good. Like, because they worked so well together, because they were so believable as a couple that works, you know? I would be interested to know if they changed the end of the script. But man, I enjoyed this movie. I really did. I mean, the first 75% of it, I was like, oh man, 4-star, possible 5. And then it gets to the end and I'm like, oh, not quite. Performance wise, I think this is like easily a solid 4-star movie, 4-star and above. But the movie itself and the turn towards chaos, it drags it down a little bit for me. So with all that being said, I think this is a 3.75 movie. It's one of my favorite things I've watched this summer. I would watch it again. I enjoyed watching it, but they didn't quite stick the landing. And they to be honest with you, it's almost like a Simone Biles situation where, like, obviously it went from a 4-star to a 3.75, where it was like, you know, your starting score is so high that wiping out on the landing isn't going to hurt you that but in this case it hurts them a little bit, I would say, but not too much. So 3.75 of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I don't know if you need to go to the theater to see this, but if you see it on the streaming apps, I would definitely go ahead and click play on this. This is a enjoyable movie to watch on the couch, and it'll probably make you talk about your relationship if you watch it with your significant other, because I think there's a lot to be said about the ways in which we navigate relationships and the things that we don't say, and the things that we're probably still not saying. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of Oh It's Big Ron Studios. I mixed this episode, and that's right, you heard me correctly. I watched this movie twice in 2 days. I went on Sunday and watched it late. I got a 9:40 showing at 11:15. They're like, we can't see it no more. We got to restart it. I'm like, no. And I had to get free tickets to come back and watch it today, which is Labor Day. And they're getting this on Tuesday. So if I get home and I edit this together, you're getting this the next day. So if you're listening to this and being like, wow, this is pretty good, or wow, he got it out, just know that this was labor and it took some effort to do this. If that means something to you, go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater and become a patron, become a contributing member. It helps the show to exist. You also get access to my new developing podcast, I Don't Like That. There's 3 episodes out right now, working on episode 4, working to be more consistent on that one. It's going to be a video forward podcast. So I'm still trying to work out the kinks as I go, but I'm really excited about that. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in keeping Leaving the Theater going, go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater or go to the link in our show notes. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about The Roses, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, Threads, or Letterboxd at Oh It's Big Ron. That's at OHITSBIGRON. You can find out more about this show and other Oh It's Big Ron Studios shows by following us on Instagram at Oh It's Big Ron Studios. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening.